Welcome to the Run It Studios podcast, talking about running things, literally and metaphorically, with resilience, mindset, and culture in motion. Welcome back to the Run It Studios podcast. I'm Trina Wilcox, and my guest today is going to share a little bit about her involvement in a concert that we've talked about for this will be the third year now in a row, and it's the Joe Rickman Memorial Concert. And please introduce yourself and tell me how you got involved.
Well, my name is Paige, and Jaxin is my son. So he is going to be the recipient of the funds for this year's concert. And the funds will be used to support him in his epilepsy journey to getting a service animal. So it will help kind of alleviate some stress and concerns and things that we live with on a daily basis. That'll just make our lives a lot easier. So we're super grateful for Michelle for, thinking of us and allowing us this opportunity.
So, the past couple of years, she has honored her late husband with this memorial concert, and Make a Wish is very important to her. And she and Joe and their family always like to give back to people. So, this is just one more way to keep extending that gift. So, tell me a little bit about the concert in the past and what you've seen about the community coming together.
Yeah, so in the past, it's really just been a really huge event with local performers, several different headliners, and things like that. They do different auctioning of items as well, so silent auction for different things and services. But the community really just comes together to have fun and have great food and enjoy a night of live music, but also supporting a great cause at the same time. Which in the
So,
past, like you had mentioned, it's been mostly Make-A-Wish in the
mhm.
past. So both of her kids have received wishes in the past, so that is why that means so much to them. Which I think is great. They've raised a ton of money in the past, and been really able to grant so many wishes here locally in the Springfield area for Make a Wish.
And I'm glad you said that because I think what she knows is important is how when something affects a child, it's the whole family that's involved. And just like your son with epilepsy, if she can make it easier, if a dog would help his symptoms, it's going to be easier for everyone. So talk to me about when he got his diagnosis and some of the things that he deals with on a daily basis.
Yeah, so he got his diagnosis when he was 8 years old. So up until then, I had a perfectly what I thought was normal, healthy child with the occasional asthma and allergies and things like that, but nothing chronic by any means. So he actually asked to sleep with me that night, which I'm super grateful that I had allowed him to do so. And in the middle of the night, around 3 a.m., I felt the bed shaking. So I woke up and had leaned over to check on him, and he was face down in the pillow. And I thought he was having a nightmare at first. And it dawned on me when I couldn't wake him up that he was having a seizure. And so I had thought back to anything I've ever known about seizures and the things you're supposed to do to support the person having a seizure. And so I laid him across my lap on his side and just prayed for it to stop. And it did eventually stop. And then about 30 seconds later, he had another one following right after. And of course, thank goodness it was pitch black in my room at that time. So I didn't have to see it with my own eyes for that first time. And I called 911. They came and got him and took him in and did several tests, but couldn't come to a diagnosis. So they set him up later with a neurologist who did an EEG and diagnosed him with primary generalized epilepsy, which is the epilepsy that it's a seizure activity throughout the entire brain. So some people only have it in their focal or things like that, but he has it over his entire brain, which really just means that he has every kind of seizure as well. So absence seizures are a big part of his daily life where he just kind of loses consciousness for a couple of seconds and then will come back in without really even noticing that anything has happened to him. And then of course petite mal and grand mal seizures are happening as well. But it really affects his daily life, and being able to um, stay focused at school is a huge thing because he's coming in and out of consciousness all throughout the day and being expected to follow along with
Mm.
lesson plans and things like that when he looks just like a normal kid and he is, but at the same time he's just not understanding things at the level that most people would. And with epilepsy, it causes a lot of stress and anxiety in the person that has the diagnosis, and also a lot of memory issues as well. So he can't really remember things that just happened. It's a lot of short term memory loss that he deals with. Um, but one really big thing that had happened that led me to deciding that we needed a service animal was in January of 2025. He had had a really bad seizure, and it was his first grand mal seizure in about 2 years. And my daughter was in the kitchen with him, and he was sitting at the kitchen table having his breakfast. And she looked over and saw him seizing while he was eating and screamed for my name. So I went in and I saw him at the table and he was blue. I got him down in the floor and he was choking at that time on his cereal. And so I had to get that cereal out of his throat. And at that time, he had actually suffocated and
Oh,
we had lost him. And I had just taken a CPR course and gotten a CPR certification. And so I did CPR on him and I was able to get him back. And it was the scariest thing in my entire life that's ever happened. And at that time, we had called 911 and they were just entering the home when I got him back. And they rushed him to the emergency room and he was in the hospital for about 4 days that time. And they had a service dog come to the hospital and visit the kids in the children's unit. And he just loved that dog so much. And just having that dog there with him to make him feel better was just such a huge thing. And the guy had talked to us a little bit about service animals and the things that they can do. And he let the dog sit with Jackson on the bed for like 20 minutes, and Jackson didn't want to let him go. And I
oh.
just knew at that moment that that was something that was going to be really beneficial for Jackson to feel confident and comfortable, and, just to have somebody there that can always see him and always cares about him and has just that extra eyes on him, I think is the biggest thing. So, yeah, that kinda changed everything in that moment for us.
So a service animal is trained for specific things. Are they trained specifically for different diagnosis like epilepsy?
Yeah, so that's a really cool thing is that, and that's why they are so hard to get and so expensive, is because they are specifically trained for the diagnosis itself. So there are dogs that can alert someone if their blood sugar is low, so for diabetes and, different issues like Ehlers-Danlos, where your joints kind of pop out and things like that, where they can get you safely onto the ground. There's just so many things a service dog can do. But for epilepsy, they could alert the caretakers that a seizure is coming on or that even a seizure is currently happening. So that would be huge with his nocturnal seizures, to where the dog would come into my room and wake me up to get him the help he needs. And then also getting the patient down on the floor, onto their side and laying there to where they're keeping them on their side, like basically in with them, like cuddling them right here,
Yeah.
to where they're not choking, and their head is safe and all of those things. They could even be trained to get their emergency medication down and give it to the caretaker and things like that, which would be just amazing. It would really help with the sleep because that's my biggest thing, is just worrying that he's going to have a seizure in the night and that I won't know. And there is such a thing as sudden death in epileptic people, to where they do die when they have seizures at night. And I don't think I ever fully sleep at night because I'm always on high alert. But a service dog would allow me to actually get some sleep and some rest, I think, at night.
Absolutely. So how long Hopefully, we will get this money raised for the dog.
Yeah.
How long will it take for you to get Jackson a service animal once you're approved, or how long does all of that take from start to finish?
So it can vary, but the dog would be trained first on like normal responses and things like that. And then the dog would meet Jackson throughout that process, learn his cues, his triggers, his scents, and things like that, to where it would be about another 6 months at that time before we would ever even take the dog home. And then after that, it's a continual effort on all of our parts to reinforce the training at home. And because we have two other dogs at home that are just pets, and so they'll tend to regress if you don't keep up with it and continue the training. So that's kind of a commitment we have to make on our end as well. But it can take, like, I think a year or so until you get to actually take the dog home. And the interesting thing is that there are no specialized dog trainers in this area. We do have to go to Kansas City or St. Louis in order to get the specialized service animal. So there's also expenses with traveling to the dog to for the dog to get to know Jackson as well. So it's a pretty lengthy process.
Okay, so do you know yet if you are going to get one? Has that process started?
No,
Okay.
can't start the process without the money.
Okay.
So
Enough said. We need to get this money going. So tell me all you know about the concert, how people can give, even if they can't be there, how they can give.
yeah, so the concert's going to be super fun. It's at the Riff, which is the venue now. So live music there, as well as food, games. Of course, they're going to open up the yard for us so everyone can go out there and enjoy the games. So it's going to be a super fun event with also the auctioning as well of the different services and items at the event. The tickets prices start at only $35 for general admission, and that covers from start to finish all of the live music, all of the games, all of the things like that. And then you can up your donation from there. You could become a VIP person where you're going to get meal, drinks, and things like that included. And then it goes up from there where people can take personal sponsorships, their business sponsorships, where they get advertised on the website and at the event itself. And the website advertising goes for 12 months, which is great. But if you are not able to attend and you just want to donate even $5, you can go to the joerickmanmemorial.com website and click just donate now. And you are more than welcome to donate however much your heart leads you to donate on that donate now button.
Sounds good. There's also a Facebook event for all of you guys on social media. Joe Rickman Memorial Concert is what you're looking for. We hope you'll support this great cause. Anything else that you want to share before we close?
No, I'm just super grateful for everything. Recently, Jackson had a surgery. It's an implant for, it's called VNS therapy. It's a really great device that is connected from the chest cavity to the vagal nerves, and that stimulates a message to the neurons to stay regulated, to continue. I guess to not have a seizure, but then if he does have a seizure, it sends extra messages to the brain to calm down, and it will help alleviate some stress as well. But his insurance did not cover that procedure, which anything that is left over from the service animal will go directly to paying, helping to pay for Jackson's overdue medical expenses. So anything truly helps. And I'm just super grateful for the Rickmans for doing this for us, and for anyone that feels it in their heart to make a difference for Jackson.
Sounds great. Yes, let's make his life a little more normal if possible in the best way. Thank you for sharing and bringing some awareness to the
Yes.
cause too. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.